Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. I just got offered as a senior Scrum Master today. Yeah,
Hooray!
oh, there's a different
Congratulations.
background. Yeah, there's a different background from your screen.
Yes, yes, it does. We all need some changes in our life, right?
Hmm? Yeah, I think there are many things happening during these 2 months. And how's it going?
It's good. It's good. Everything moving forward. To me, excited to see the future. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so um, yeah, it's been 2 months since our last online episode. Many things happened during these 2 months, and I want to share that 2 months ago, our department was closed, and I got laid off. Yeah, very very
Yeah.
surprised, and I restarted my interview loops. Luckily, I had an interview with a well-known iGaming company in my country, in Taiwan, and applied for the Scrum Master interview. I think the experience was quite fresh to me because in my country, Agile is not a popular term, and only a small group of people knows that. Not to
Mm-hmm.
mention what a Scrum Master is. I remember I have mentioned this phenomenon to you before, but I think many audiences, no matter in EU nations or other Western countries, they might want to know what they were actually doing in a Scrum Master interview, right? I'm not sure if your mentees have ever asked the same questions to you.
Let's be honest, this is a very hot topic, right? I hope
Really?
we will, yeah, because I hope we will have good conversation today. I'm sure we will. But in general, the situation in the market when it comes
Hmm.
to, let's call it people related to agile,
Hmm.
is changing, is definitely changing. Of course, it did not start like month or two ago, but definitely the market is getting more and more difficult because of
Hmm.
layoffs. And we
Yeah,
see some trends. For instance, some of the companies decide to fire Scrum Masters,
yeah,
Agile coaches.
yeah.
They are looking for some ways how to save money. So what about firing some experts? But it's not only limited to, let's call them agilists, right?
Hmm.
Because for instance, I believe it's a pretty fresh topic here in Poland. There were some layoffs, significant layoffs in Krakow, which
Hmm.
is a pretty big city, one of the biggest. A lot of companies there. And not only Scrum Masters, Agile coaches were losing their jobs, but also programmers, testers, UX
Yeah,
experts.
yeah.
So, all the people who are able to translate ideas into solutions.
Hmm.
So I believe this is also an important message we should share. There is something happening already in the market, and it's not only about people claiming we no longer need Agile and Scrum, but in general, people
Hmm.
unfortunately are getting laid off.
Oh, already.
Yes.
Maybe we could just delay this question to the later part. Yeah, I want to know your why. And maybe we could just get to our topic today, Scrum Master interview questions. Yeah, before that, well, I think you must be familiar with the competition on job boards. When I was investigating similar positions in the market, especially in Western markets, no matter in
Hmm.
EU or in the US, I found there were always lots of people competing the same position. It's very special for me because there might be less than 10 people applying for the position in my country. In all the markets, there may be almost less than five positions. about Scrum Master. Yeah, it's not a popular term in my country. So my question is, from your point of view, to why people are competing for that? There is not a Scrum Master department or an Agile coach department in our colleges, right? So what is your ideas about the phenomenon? Does a Scrum Master get higher salary or what?
That's a very good question, and I believe there are a few aspects to take into account. First of all, as I already told you, we are facing layoffs, not only in
Yeah.
Poland. So if there are companies that fired, I don't know, 5 agile coaches, 3 scrum masters, I don't know, 7 product owners, obviously they are landing in the job market. So definitely, I believe what we currently observe is the consequences of layoffs. So even if someone was not willing to change, the change came, right? It's turned out to be something they have to face right now. So that's definitely one side of the coin. Another is that I believe we also, in the previous years, a few years, some of us, unfortunately, the part of the community, created this false perception that if you want to start your job in IT, which is a pretty well paid, but let's be honest, there are other options, but somehow people believe this is the great place to work within this area. So you can start with being Scrum Master because you don't need to change a lot. You don't need studies. You don't need to
Really?
yes, because imagine if you want to become a doctor or
Yeah.
even a nurse just supporting the doctor, you need to
Yeah.
go to a proper school. It takes
Yeah.
years to prepare
Yeah.
for this occupation, right? At
Yeah.
least 2, I would say, basic minimum, supporting nursery, simple stuff. Not not a person helping the surgeon during sophisticated surgery. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of banners, advertisements, people claiming that, hey, come to us to a Scrum bootcamp, and after several weeks, you will get a well-paid job, right? So
Oh, it's a marketing term. It's a very
yeah.
attractive, but it's not real.
But people
Yeah.
believed
Just
in that, right?
oh, okay.
Right? You see? You see the
Mm-hmm.
problem? So, to put things, sorry for my very straightforward language, but we created a lot of Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and not all of them are needed. Some of them did not achieve high maturity level, and they are now in this competitive market with layoffs, with some troubles. Another consequence, I believe, that might affect the picture is that companies are going back to hybrid. And if you decided during pandemic that okay, I will go back to my family, I will start living in the countryside, then out of the sudden they tell you 2 times a week come back to the office. But now it's no longer like 30-40 minutes commuting, it's like a few hours travel, because you are no longer, for instance, living in Warsaw, you are now living near to the seaside in Poland. So you need a few hours to travel to change the places. So that's also something that might, in general, affect people's decisions if they like working remotely and meeting like once a month or once a quarter. They
Yeah.
maybe want to find this type of a job.
Oh, really? Yeah. What you just mentioned is related to my uh, to my next PowerPoint. Yeah, because just as you said, um, because as I started running my own social platform, often I need to distribute my content over multiple Agile communities. Yeah, just as you said, I often see similar posts asking people who want to become a Scrum Master to get a certification just like this. You see, there are 15 comments below. maybe those people are going to get the Scrum Master certification. I'm not sure what does that mean for them. Yeah, is it important to get a certification to stand out from the resume review in the beginning? I think we could pick some clues from the interview questions later. Have you also come across the same issues before, or your mentees might ask you similar questions?
You're laughing, right? So I guess you have already some answers in your head, right?
Yeah.
I believe it's another myth, right? And
Mm,
honestly, I don't like this approaches like here you have free questions or pay me money and I will help you certify.
hmm.
Hello, in the end of the day, we want
Yeah.
to create professionals, right? And I believe
Yeah.
it's another myth that, okay, I pass PSM1, PSM2, I will get Scrum certified Scrum Master badge, right? And maybe something else, and safe certification, whatever. And I will be great. But the problem is, it all was always about skills, right? It was
Mm,
always the need was related to help us become effective in product delivery, help us become effective in value delivery. And I still see a lot of maybe not demands, but requests in the job advertisements,
yeah.
like you need to have a certificate. But let's be honest, um, it's not about certification. And during that recruitment process,
Hmm.
the recruitment managers should verify your knowledge, your skill set, your attitude, right? Your approach to
Hmm.
problem
Yeah.
solving. Certificate is it's not guaranteeing that you are prepared for the job, right?
Hmm. Yeah, because in my country, I'm not sure if that happens in most Asia countries. We people often likes to get many certifications, not just about Scrum Master, maybe like PMP or
Mm-hmm.
Kanban trainers, something like that, because they think, oh, if I have some certifications, I may have the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to show up in my on my resume, and it could help me exposure my market value, and I have more opportunity to get an interview or get a position. Yeah, it's a myth for me, but I do see I do see similar things happening in agile communities, and that's very weird. But we could also break this myth from today's interview questions. Yeah, many questions will help people understand, oh, maybe I should reconsider if I really need this certification, or I should do something different to help me get the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so okay, let's go to today's topic: Scrum Master interview questions. In fact, it took me about when I was interviewed, it took me about 3 hours to go through the Scrum Master interview, and there were many questions in it. Today I just pick up some interesting and I think
Mm-hmm.
challenging questions to let our audiences pick what the hell we are doing in this interview. I think many people will be very interested in this part, and I will make another video talking about all the questions I met. If your audiences want to know, subscribe to my channel and wait for my content, or just consult Joanna. Okay, so in the beginning, let's start from a simple. It's very important. I think. Why do you want to become a Scrum Master? I think it's interesting to let people know your story about the transition. You studied robotics before, I know, right? And what motivated you to make this decision?
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe some people see it as a simple question, but I believe it's not, because here we can
Yeah,
reveal our motivation and our attitude.
yeah.
For me, it started with my first professional full-time job. I
Mhm,
joined Nokia in 2010 as a software configuration management engineer. So that was the full
mhm,
name.
Yeah.
One may say it's like early DevOps, or something from that area. So integration, automation, pipelines, and so on, in very, very short. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, actually, it wasn't that I have chosen to become a Scrum Master. We
Mm-hmm.
were trained at the very early steps of my professional career. I had a privilege, I had a chance to meet
Mm-hmm.
people who were already into Scrum and Agile. So in
Oh,
Nokia,
really?
yes, I did. And in fact, some of the professional Scrum trainers from Poland uh, were working with me someday at Nokia, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Nokia connecting people, dun, da, da. Joke. Now we
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
good joke. So for me, it was never like, oh, what a lovely job. When I started, it was because some people trained us, gave us
yeah.
inspirations, and
Mm-hmm.
it was totally common during that time that one of the engineers from the team was deciding to combine accountabilities. So I used to
Mm.
be both using Scrum vocabulary, developer
Yeah.
and Scrum Master. Later, after a few years, that might be important to show you my motivation. I realized that I do love working with people, processes, um, helping them find solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I felt I'm doing better. I feel it's something that makes me happy, and
Mm-hmm.
based on that, I decided to do not pursue this career of two
Mm-hmm.
heads at the same time. I have
Yeah.
chosen to become a person fully committed to be a Scrum Master and Agile coach, but still. I was from time to time testing with my team. I was writing scripts in Python when we needed to automate something. So
Yeah.
definitely, I used that experience. It was super helpful. Actually, it's still helpful because I have this engineering background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for your sharing. Actually, well, um, it's hard for me to imagine that happens in my country because it was an accident for me to become a Scrum Master. I know what Scrum is when I just graduated from my school and I got into a startup company in Hong Kong. At the time, our manager just told me what Scrum is, and I know, oh, they are holding some ceremonies like a daily scrum, a sprint review, sprint retrospective, and we use some estimation techniques like story point to evaluate our workload. I just know its form, but
Mhm.
later, yeah, unfortunately, we got laid off after 8 months because our headquarters suffered from some financial problems. And
Mhm.
then I transitioned to another company. But I found a big difference. In local company, they don't focus on agile transformation. They just follow traditional way of project management, and I dislike that. So one day when I accumulated sufficient credits with my members and managers, I just asked my boss. I say, could you please let me lead the lead the team to adopt Scrum framework? Let me introduce this to you. And then I just make a PowerPoint and tell my boss and members, oh, this is Scrum, and we should do blah blah blah, and I hope the result will be blah blah blah. At that time, we had a new project from zero, so I just require my boss to give me a team and a new project. Let's just do a small trial on this, and as a result, it successfully we successfully delivered the results in 3 months, and our members feel very happy with the process because they find a cadence when we are delivering our increments.
Mm-hmm.
And we started brainstorming what kinds of defects we should improve from within the process. We started using some CI/CD tools, and we started thinking about how to improve the process, and we could closely collaborate with each other. That's my first success of adopting of adopting the Scrum framework. And then I just like you, I was at the time a developer, also a Scrum
Mm-hmm.
Master. Yeah, I do developer stuff in the morning and do some Scrum Master stuff at night because in Asia we often work overtime. And but I think I view it as an opportunity to accumulate uh, my another skill to train my another skill as a Scrum Master. So that was a precious experience for me. And I also found actually I'm not a geek
Mm-hmm.
as compared to my colleagues, and I'm more suitable for project management stuffs. My managers or my members just ask me, "Hey Andy, I think you should be transitioning to project management stuffs." So I started finding how to transition to this part because I already had the experience of being a Scrum Master. Unfortunately, this position is not a popular term in Taiwan. So these years, I just keep doing as a project manager, but I'm implicitly a Scrum Master, or you could call me an Agile coach, because I always try to integrate many Agile methodologies into the team to optimize their development process. That's why I become a Scrum Master. But on the appearance, they will view me as a project manager. But but for me, that's another value added for my career path because I have different perspective when it comes to project management. I will view it from a different an angle in agile ways to to lead a team, iterate a project, and to get a project into many chunks and deliver them to our customers to build trust between us. Yeah. And okay, I think this is a simple story for both of us, but I think our audiences will be interested in their questions. And this one was interesting to me, but I want to know your thoughts about it first. What is the difference between the junior Scrum Master and the senior one?
Ah, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky
Yeah,
one. And
yeah,
if I get it during the interview, I would be at least confused, right? Because
yeah.
um, let's start from the beginning, okay?
Yeah.
So in the
Mhm.
Scrum Guide, there's no differentiation between junior,
Mm.
mid, senior. We don't have agile
Yeah, yeah,
coach, in
yeah.
fact, because
Yeah,
this
we
is
have
the same person, right?
yeah, we had the
Eh,
same idea when
yeah.
when we see the question.
Yeah. So that would be my first reaction. Like let's make it clear. There's no differentiation here.
Mhm.
But there might be
Mhm.
two things worth mentioning.
Right?
First is someone's experience and someone's maturity, because
Mm.
it's obvious that we as scrum masters, agile coaches, product owners, product managers, we have our
Yeah,
own path of growth, right? We have
yeah.
our maturity levels. So indeed, um, I believe you need some experience
Mhm.
to become a Scrum Master that is able to fulfill their accountability as described in the Scrum Guide. So that might be one important aspect. Let's check someone's maturity, where they are in their path, right? Each of us
Mhm.
has has your own unique path of development and growth. On the
Mm-hmm.
other side, I would ask another, maybe complementary question: where do you need me? And for instance, we have a flight levels model by Klaus Leopold, if I'm pronouncing correctly. So we may ask, where do you need me? Is it level one, like helping the team? Is it level two, coordination, right? Dependencies? Or is it level three, like organizational, strategic
Mm-hmm.
planning, right? From Scrum Guide point of view, Scrum Master can help anywhere, but the company might have, at least for the next months or for the year, certain problems that they see. Okay, majority of the problems are on the team level. We need someone who is able to work with the teams, maybe help with coordination, so at least a part of the second flight level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you have a different perception from me. I also
Please
want to
share
share
yours.
my yeah. You know, well, actually, I don't have a clear cut about what should be a junior one or a senior one. To me, I just view it as a spectrum from a
Mhm.
junior to a senior. I don't have a clear cut in the spectrum. That depends on our experience to handle the same conditions. For example, when it comes to a leading Scrum adoption, if I were still a junior Scrum master, I just mentioned my original type when I just become a Scrum master, I would directly tell the team what to do. No matter what
Mhm.
Scrum, no matter Scrum principles or ceremonies, actually that is not a bad strategy, but often it causes friction between members. So the result is usually uh, successful or failed directly. As I get mature with Scrum adoption and have gone through several teams, I come to understand indeed I don't need to take such a fierce approach to achieving my goals. Instead, I will work with the team first, trying to clarify their workflow, identify who is the key man that could support my ideas, and address any issues that could be resolved in Scrum ceremonies. And implement ceremonies from scratch to solve a problem at a time. This iterative approach would be more suitable for a Scrum Master to live in an environment and won't cause too much resistance. That's the difference between my junior phase and senior phase. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. So
yeah,
I feel like we are pretty similar when it comes to perspective of someone's maturity and their path, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, Len, let's get to next question. Oh, this is a sensitive question for most people. How to evaluate a Scrum Master's salary? When first time when the interviewer uh, asked me this question, I was a little confused why this question appears in my interview. Yeah, how about answering first?
That's interesting, because for
Mm-hmm.
me, and I participated in significant number of job interviews on both
Mm-hmm.
sides, looking for a job and looking for someone to hire on the behalf of a company.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a typical question. I
Yeah.
what I meet is what I hear is rather a question: why do you believe we should pay you this amount of money? Or the question around how you make sure that you deliver value to the company and it's worth paying for your
Mm.
salary. So it's
Yeah.
rather a matter of negotiation, and it's a matter of checking your perspective. Do you look at your job as the way to actually help companies solve some problems, to earn
Mm-hmm.
more money, or to find some savings. So you find this connection between, uh, okay, my salary is a cost, but it's worth taking it, right?
Yeah.
Because if somebody asks me, how do you evaluate? Well, we have a lot of positions in Europe. So I would dare to say I would open some reports when it comes to salaries. And that might be a source of some data, right? What is currently happening in the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your sharing. Your viewpoint is very special to me. When I first time met this question, it sounds like, how do you evaluate your mother's performance in a family? This voice just pop up in my brain, and we
Mm-hmm.
just passed a happy Mother's Day this month, right? Yeah. Well, it's a kind of hard for me to identify the real value a Scrum Master would generate for a team, because often we are doing some many abstract steps in the team. In my opinion, I would compare the role with the project manager, just I did before, because in my country they have many overlaps in
Mm-hmm.
Agile projects. But after I think several times on this question, I think a more reserved answer is that we could just check the average salary on a glass door. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also a job board, but it shows some average salary based on the industry or
Mm-hmm.
the country where you are, and it provides you
Yeah.
some medium, low, or more higher salary from the condition you set. Essentially, there is not a standard answer to this question. I think, um, well, it's hard for us to list some clear items to evaluate uh, how much a Scrum Master would generate for a company. Even I have thought of an experiment that maybe we could uh, have two different teams with exactly the same expertise in it, and one has a Scrum Master and another one no, and they are doing the same thing. Try to compare the ultimate value they generate to determine how much a Scrum Master would generate, how much value a Scrum Master would generate from within the experiment. But I think it's almost impossible to do this trial. Yeah, it's a social trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this question, it's impossible for most people uh, to to meet this question. So yeah, we could just take a look, but don't worry about it. Yeah, and let's get to the next one.
Well, if I may stop us for a second, I would dare
Yeah.
to say maybe you could start with evidence based management and find
Oh.
metrics. So, for instance, if the company has a challenge with time to market and they can calculate what is the cost of those
Mm-hmm.
long time they have to wait before they are able to release. So
Mm-hmm.
if Scrum Master helps to achieve that in 3 months, you can try to
Yeah.
compare what was the cost of hiring this person and their salary
Mm.
versus the gains that we now have thanks to their job. Another, well, very simple example, but I've seen good job in that area. Scrum Master teaching people to keep meetings within time frame, not having too many meetings, right? So people sitting on the meeting and not delivering value is a waste from lean point of view. So if the
Yeah.
Scrum Master helps to change that approach in the company, you can have some two snapshots, right? Before,
Mm-hmm.
how what was the cost of the meetings,
Yeah.
right? And
After.
after, right? You can also
Mm-hmm.
combine it with people's people's opinions. Do you feel like now meetings are better, more focused? Do you believe that they are more valuable for your work, right? So
Mhm.
we can try, in my view, to some
Mhm.
extent, try to
Mhm.
find money on
Mhm.
this topic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is to say we have to design some experiment to collect the real data from within the process. Yeah, I have heard the EBM, evidence-based management, in my professional Scrum Master advanced course in Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
but actually I haven't taken a look at the details about it. Maybe in the later episodes, we could have a small talk about this topic. What
Mm-hmm.
what is actually EBN is, and how we adopt some index to help us evaluate a Scrum Master's real value in the
Mm-hmm.
market. Yeah. So let's take a look at the next question. What kinds of core skills an agile coach should have?
Mm-hmm.
Any?
Mm-hmm. Do
Yeah.
you want me to
Yeah.
start?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, okay, let me start. For me,
Go
because
ahead.
yeah, I'm still exploring what an agile coach should have in my career. In my opinion, I think there are primarily two core skills. One is mentoring. You have to we have to mentor, you hold a one-on-one session to explore what exactly our members is thinking about and how to explore the potential risks they are suffering from and try to brainstorm, try to help them to find out their own solutions to solve their problems. Another thing is that the primary skills is coach them
Mm-hmm.
how to adopt some agile methodologies, know why they should use it and what to do and how to adopt them. I think these two are the primary skills an agile coach should have. But as I read some materials online, I know there are many other skills. Something may some people from engineering backgrounds might have different perspectives from me, because I'm actually not a geek. So maybe I cannot get their perspectives. But I think maybe you could share your own about this question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I would love to mention three skills, but it will be very broad, right? So
Mhm.
don't kill me. Don't kill me because of my answers. Um, so the first skill, knowledge about frameworks and some knowledge about the domain. And by domain, I mean I cannot imagine a very good agile coach or scrum master that is
Mhm.
working with software team and has absolutely no knowledge about software. I do not
Mhm.
expect that person to have enormous expertise, but I expect, and my second skill is uh, learning mindset. So I believe that you can start with in a new domain, like you can start working with marketing experts, with
Mhm.
language experts, with AI experts, and at the
Mhm.
same time, I believe agile coach will be also gradually learning to understand domain at least to some extent, because it's like in the sports, right? We are not saying
Yeah.
that the coach for the team is the best player in the world, but come on, he knows how to play, right? He knows the
Yeah.
rules, right?
Mhm.
So this is why I believe don't need to be the best in the world, but come on, how do you want to effectively communicate? You will be learning, right?
Mhm.
That will be my first point. Second, I already said, so learner, open mind and continuous learner. And last but not least, leadership skills. So I believe that if you want to help people, companies, individuals introduce changes, find effective ways of working, you need to be a true leader. And leadership is, that's why I told you it will be broad. It's a broad term, right? It
Mhm.
requires a
Yeah.
lot of different skills.
Hmm. Yeah. As you mentioned, leadership skills. I think, yeah, from my viewpoint, I think agile coach just use their influence
Hmm.
to lead a team. But for most managers, they has the authority to push a team.
Hmm.
I think that is the primary difference between an agile coach and the general manager. Yeah, sometimes I think, oh, if an agile coach has some authority, something might be more convenient to push. I mean convenient
Yeah,
for them. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we would say not all agile coach will be very successful in some teams. They also, even for a senior one, he might also suffer from some team collaboration issues that is caused by insufficient authority to push, or they suffer from the upper management that don't follow their suggestions. Yeah, that often happens. Yeah, so for leadership skills, I think it's very important. I think its underlying logic is to trying to um, build connections
Hmm.
with all the members in your team. Just let them group with you
Hmm.
and receive your influence. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Some people call it servant leadership, right? So this is this
Yeah.
kind
Servant
of the
leadership.
leader. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So let's get to the next one. I think this one is very. Oh, yeah. Question 5. When an organization don't understand about Agile, how to make it happen? I think it's um classic a classic question for any Scrum Master to deal with when he gets into a new team or a new organization.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you first. What? How do you do
I
that?
How do I do that? Actually, I would start with rephrasing the question, because
Refresh.
honestly,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I like the question and I believe it's a trap at the same time, because I would ask, okay, they don't understand agile, but what is the problem? You know,
Do they
imagine.
really need Agile?
Exactly. This is one of the questions. So I would ask
Mm-hmm.
why you are saying, someone told me, right? I'm having a first conversations, meeting new company, new team. Why it is a problem? Because they don't know how to apply. Okay, why they should apply? So I would
Mm-hmm.
say some kind of five whys, right? What is the real problem? So I would say start with the problem, because
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, to help people understand basics of agile and why agile manifesto,
Mm-hmm.
why complex domain has some kind of uh, let's put it like that, traits that are uncomfortable, right? Well,
Yeah.
it's a matter of, I don't know, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Experienced coaches, trainers, scrum masters know how to do it. Tell the story, create a space for a simple exercise, right? We know how to do that. But what I would ask here, why it is a problem that they
Mm-hmm.
don't understand agile? Because maybe I'm not saying that this is a typical case, but as you suggested, maybe they don't need agile. So why am I supposed to help them understand something that is not useful for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's just assume they do face some problems, and they need their members to have the Agile mindset to tackle the problem in their organization. But the
Uh-huh.
manager have no idea how to how to help their members have this mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
maybe.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I just have the assumption, and I have a different idea about it. Last weekend, maybe just a few days ago, I attended Professional Scrum Master 2 course. And in the beginning of the course, we were talking about the future of Scrum. I said it will be forgotten in the end because it is essentially an iterative and incremental approach, right? So now I won't say we are doing Agile or Scrum or any other Agile methodologies like Kanban or whatever. I will just back to its original form by leading the team to experience iterative and incremental development process. And I won't say this is Scrum or what. That's not important. And just
Yeah.
adopt various techniques to strengthen three pillars: transparency, inspection, and
Mm-hmm.
adaptation. It was just and we would hold several workshops to help them know what we are really doing, what kinds of problems we're trying to resolve, and what kinds of results we're going to deliver, and why this is important for them. And I won't
Mm-hmm.
say this is agile or whatever agile or whatever methodologies. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I see your point, and I do like the approach, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
what I heard, what I understood is that give them the opportunity to experience agility, but maybe don't put too much attention to, hey, you need to know the names, hey, this is agile, or hey, this is actually Scrum, right?
Yeah.
So it does not matter. You would be focused on helping them do the right things to achieve valuable outcomes of their work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I look back to my experience over the past few years, I think most of the time we stick too much to its form,
Mm-hmm.
but we get back to its original spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get mature, we should back to its original spirit and
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back
So
to the basics, right? Fundamentals
yeah,
and why it actually started. Hmm.
yeah. Just back to the pure terms of agile. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Question 6. If members are against your actions to make changes, how do you handle the situation? Well, this is a tough problem most Scrum Masters will face for several times in their career. I believe you have encountered similar situations before. How about sharing your experience and strategy?
Hmm. Yeah. That's a really interesting question. So, first of all, I would make sure that those are not my actions, but our actions, right?
Mhm.
So, building ownership of the problem and making sure that it's not me, you know, because we want to avoid the
Oh.
situation that I push actions on them. I serve as a leader, servant leader. So, in my experience, the best case is when we collaborate as a team and I perceive myself as a team member with special expertise, right? But still
Mhm.
a team member. And when we acknowledge, here is our problem, those are examples of changes we can make. And if the team hold themselves accountable as a group, I believe it's an important step, because if it will be the situation like, hey, Joanna, tell us what to do, and I will give them examples, and they did not take those ideas, they do not maybe even rephrase it, they do not take it as their own, something they want to act on, we may end up with a great session, great brainstorming, but
Mhm.
it will be difficult to act. And it might be again an example of waste, right? So I prefer to end up such situations with even one small action, but something that team members feel accountable for. Because otherwise, we may end up with me as a bottleneck, uh, maybe even to some extent pushing changes. And this is against what I believe we should do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard a keyword, build ownership.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you help them build ownership through your work?
I love, well, we already tackled that, at least to some extent. I love pointing out problems, helping people realize, maybe I will
Mm-hmm.
put it in different words, what are their problems, and helping them solve their problems. So when people
Mm-hmm.
feel that there is a problem, it's much easier to build this feeling, yes, I want to act, I want to resolve problem, I want to make things better. And I love this way of working. This is something that I've also learned with action learning. You
Mm-hmm.
take a team is responsible for the process, you help them learn, but
Mm-hmm.
you create a space and simple rules that that constrain this process in the way it's your process.
Mm-hmm.
So even recently, I conducted an action learning session for one of the customers as a part of a learning journey. And I acted as a real learning coach. So I did not facilitate the process. I was doing a step back and actively observing, they
Mm-hmm.
took the ownership. There was out of the sudden silence, and I was
Mm-hmm.
waiting. They decided to take the process into their hands. So it is possible by right facilitation, by creating right environment, and also imposing right constraints, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you just point out an implicit logic about building ownership. Um, I think it's very important to help the member aware the problem, to trigger their awareness to a
Mm-hmm.
problem. Let them think, oh, we do have the problem, and we do need to do some to take some actions to solve it. In this process, we are just an observer and just help them aware they have something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important for me to yeah well, but sometimes I inevitably want to take some real actions to the team. Yeah, that's my inertia to do list. Okay, so but um yeah, I think I still need to do some refinements on my coaching, because sometimes I do need to take some actions to let them know what we should do. Okay, and let's get to the next one. Oh, I think it's a little tough one. How do you resolve conflicts between members? You know, I think it depends on the situations where we were in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share a story, um, but in my last position, we were collaborating with with another internal technical team, because at the time we were working on an IT system integration program that aimed to eliminate the internal operation cost. And unfortunately, we should be dependent on another team um, because we are going to extract some APIs from the existing product, and we should rely on them to help us track the documents and help us list the API we should use, and also help us craft some APIs. We are just responsible for integrating those APIs into the new product. And then we found a weird phenomenon that our delivery time is always delayed because the other team just don't give us what they should provide. And then our members got upset with this condition because our delivery time is delayed. And then they become very upset with them. They often conflict on the Telegram. They just argue on this issue. And I also find the problem because I try to analyze the lead time of another department. I found their lead time just increased exponentially. So there might be some implicit defect on their workflow, but I don't know why is that. I just detect the problem in it. So when I try to resolve the conflict, I know we have to illuminate our dependency on them as possible as we could. So we make a big decision. We just talk with our members and say, how about just taking how about just take over the stuffs that is originally taken by them. Maybe we could just check the APIs on our own, and we could write down the documents by our members and just let them handle the development stuffs and use this way to resolve the conflicts between our members. Yeah, that's what I take in my last position. But I think maybe you could share your experience about this because when it comes to conflicts, it usually means some maybe arguments between members, or they might have different expectations about their development work, something like that. And what is your strategy about this?
Well, I don't have one strategy because, as usually, context is the king. And we even have, for instance, the model 5 levels of conflict. And actually, the first level, some disagreement, right, is something positive that I won't resolve. Why? Because as long it's when it is just a disagreement, sharing different perspectives, it's actually a great brainstorming because we clash, different ideas. So this is something positive. The problem is when this conflict grows and it can become like the Third World War, right? Which we absolutely want to avoid, right?
Yeah.
In general, I wouldn't act in many cases when it is just disagreement or someone else is handling that. So I can tell you an example when there was definitely a conflict growing, but before it became dangerous, one of the team members stated their perspective very clear, and he finished the conversation before it escalated. He said like, hey, we are the team, so we need you, and we feel like you decided to go aside like a lone wolf. We need you to be part of it, right? So that was a very important message that consisted the need, the problem that they see, some kind of call for action, right? Indirectly, maybe, but still, we need you to change your behaviors, right? So I did not participate in that conversation a lot. Why? Because the team was able to change their communication in the way that helped them move forward and later decide on actions to move forward with that. When the conflict is on higher levels, so it can become toxic one, I help the team as a coach facilitator. So, for instance, I'm using paraphrasing. I'm using asking the right questions, right? Might sound easy, but in fact, it's difficult. How do you know what to ask? You can learn, right? You can ask about, hey, what with what kind of problem did you come to that conversation? So let's reveal your cards. What is a problem for you? What is bothering you? What are your expectations and your needs? So, with that questions, when asked in the right way, in the right moment, you can
Mm-hmm.
help people find different ground, maybe even common ground, like we all
Yeah.
came here with problems and we want to find a solution. Let's start with that. So it's definitely a deep topic, a lot of examples, and the conflicts may pop up on totally different levels in the organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I was hearing your story, um, I just feel a cultural difference between us. In in my country, we try to avoid conflict as possible as we could.
Yeah.
So for me, I would try to clarify if our goals are consistent in this argument. If they are the same, okay, then the conflict is positive because we're just debating if we should use different approaches
Mhm.
to achieve the same goal. But if their goals are different, then there may be a lot of negotiation in this conflict, and I should try to help them clarify their own expectation and try to resolve their expectation and try to find a common ground for both of
Mhm.
them, help them reach a compromise between what they are doing, and also protect our common goal from
Mhm.
being impacted, because that will endanger our product goals, our sprint goals, and endanger the direction of our team. That's what I do.
Mhm.
So in our country, I will try to avoid conflicts as possible as we could, even if when I sense a little bit bad smell about collaboration, I'll
Mhm.
directly act to this. Oh, that is very different from from your strategy. So
Yeah.
yeah, so if you try to work in our country, you feel very weird. Why we are so maybe aggressive in handling conflicts?
Mhm.
Because that is also our project manager's responsibility to do that, no matter within members or with our clients or with the upper management. We always have to do that, even if we don't have any authority. Yeah. So let's get to the last one. How do you evaluate a team's performance? Do you want to answer this first? I think it's very easy for you.
You are very kind, and you're very kind. If you ask me as a Scrum Master, I would dare to say I would love to have the team evaluate their performance, and I'm a
Mm-hmm,
part of the team, so it's not my main job. I'm
mm-hmm,
helping in that process, right? I feel responsible as a team member. And my favorite ways are, as you can imagine, inspired or directly taken from evidence-based management.
mm-hmm,
Measuring value, measuring progress towards goals, measuring how fast, how effective we are in the value delivery, measuring our gaps, customer satisfaction gaps, measuring opportunities, whether we are closing those gaps or not. So
mm-hmm,
those will be my favorite ways. Although I know some people may start here a story about velocity, about some maybe Kanban, flow metrics, right?
mm-hmm,
Indeed, it might be useful. I'm not against. In fact, for the team, it might be a great tool. But in the end of the day, I'm the big fan of the approach when you are focused on delivering value. And the problem with velocity is that it tells us nothing about value, right? Lead
Mm.
time, not necessarily about the value in the sense, what does the customer think? Are they
Hmm.
happy with those changes? So in the
Yeah.
end of the day, that will be my biggest point to share. Remember that we are hired to deliver something, to create something, and to make someone happy, satisfied, to solve some kind of the problems. So
Hmm.
I would be looking for metrics, for ways how to measure progress and performance in that area mostly.
Hmm. Yeah, you mentioned a very important idea. How to evaluate the customer satisfaction to what we deliver to them. Yeah, usually I prefer deliverables as the only basis of their performance because ultimately they should deliver values to customers, and we need an indirect index to stand for that because for most upper management, maybe they don't, maybe they cannot see the value they deliver to their customers, and they don't know how to evaluate the abstract value. They just know, oh, they deliver something to our customer, and if they profit in the end. In Agile Manifesto, it says working software is the primary measure of progress. Notice it's working software. That means a happened fact. So I usually use lead time and some flow metrics as an indicator to evaluate the performance of the team and continuously improve it. But as you said, it has some defects because it cannot totally stand for uh, the value, how happy our customer is, or some other abstract emotion values we create for them. So yeah, maybe in the near future, we could talk about this topic, how to quantify the customer value in the agile methodologies. I think that's another important topic because I think most management would like to know that because that could help them illuminate waste as possible as they could from within the process. Yeah. Do you have anything want to supply?
I would always say take a look at evidence-based management topic. It's not a coincidence that the name of the
Mhm.
course is Professional Agile Leadership Evidence-Based Management, because we strongly believe that evidence-based management is something that should be a part of managers, leaders' toolkit. And I
Mhm.
believe just by reading evidence-based management guide, which is free, available for everyone, you can
Mhm.
already find some inspirations.
Okay. Okay, I will read it after this video. Okay, so thanks, Joanna, joining this episode and share your experience how to handle these Scrum Master interview questions. I think both of us have shared many precious experience between us, no matter our past working experience or how we view these interview questions. I think our sharing will be beneficial for our audiences. Yeah, if our audience have any questions, feel free to comment below if you want to know more about this video. And thanks Joanna again joining this episode.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. So follow us, comment if you have any questions or any suggestions for the topics to cover.
Okay, so uh, our video is going to the end. Just see you.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.